Well, good evening and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Boost. And this is Tuesday. Out of Pennsylvania comes the Leadership Boost to you with your host, Shaun Smit, live, raw, and unedited. I decided when I started this podcast that for a number of reasons, and some of it is just for my own development, for my own challenge, is to never jump onto these podcast episodes or to these live broadcasts and then do editing. I never wanted to come across as some super slick professional, that everything is in tune. Maybe one day when I have millions of listeners and audience and hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in every month, and maybe I can get somebody to edit every single episode down through the week and weeks and months, etc., and leave out all my ums and ahs and there we go. And my little junctions that I put in, so and but I wanted to keep this just conversational, you and me, right here, live, raw, and unedited. Okay, so the podcast is not always live because it's a recording that I do here on Facebook Live. So it is live on Facebook, but on my profile, but it is being broadcast to the podcast world as well. So you sitting wherever you're listening, whether you're driving, at home, laying in bed with your earplugs in your ears, or you're taking a walk around the garden, which is what I like to do, is just go for a walk and listen to a podcast. Or when I'm driving from one place to another, I try and listen to a podcast. Or if I've got a moment on lunch times, then I listen to a bit of podcast. I'm always learning learning something. I'm always looking for something that I can glean from, and that I internalize and then can bring to you to help you become the high performance leader that you are designed and destined to be. That's you and me. All right, so tonight I want to talk a little bit about this topic called, are you constantly thinking that you are not good enough? Are you thinking that you are not good enough? I just saw this. I didn't know this, but did you know that there's a word called atelophobia? It's Atelo and then phobia. Atelophobia. It means the fear of imperfection. Do you know how many people struggle with that? There's another word for it called analysis paralysis. If they're not perfect, they never do anything. They're so scared of not getting it right, perfectly right, they never start. They never do anything. It's also the fear, it means the fear of never being good enough. I didn't know that. Did you know that? A telephobia, the fear of never being good enough. It's fear that you are not good enough to achieve what you want. Wow, there is a word like that. Now, I think a lot of people struggle with that, but not in the conscious manner that we think of fears and phobias. This is a limiting belief. It's a limiting belief that many entrepreneurs and leaders struggle with, is that I'm just not good enough to do this job. I'm just not good enough to develop the capacity. I'm just not good enough to lead as an impact leader or an inspired leader. I'm just not good enough to influence others. I'm just not good enough to reach another generation, to engage a team, to build a team. I'm just not good enough. I'm just not good enough, Shaun, to reach my potential, to fulfill my purpose. I'm just trying to make it so that I can eke out a living. And we that's what we think. I'm just not good enough to be influential. Self-limiting beliefs prevent you from achieving your next level of success or any form of success. We spoke about it last night, some of it, but I said, we ask the wrong question oftentimes as an entrepreneur. And as a business leader or as any leaders, many times we're asking the wrong questions. We're asking ourselves, why am I not successful? But maybe we should asking ourselves is what is limiting me? And we tend to want to blame others for being limited, but it's not others who are limiting us. It's Oftentimes, most often, it's our own self-limiting beliefs, or a self-limiting belief. You can change the way you view yourself, and then your thoughts will change, and then your behavior begins to change as well. It's funny is that how these limiting beliefs ultimately manifest and result in some form of behavior that oftentimes shipwrecks our own aspirations, shipwrecks our own purpose, our own desire to achieve, to accomplish, to do the things that we want to do the things that we believe we are designed to do. A limiting belief is something you believe to be true that limits you in some way. Obviously, I mean, that's very obvious, but oftentimes we don't think about that. So there is something called a limiting belief. And, sometimes most of the time we all have something that if we believe it enough, it limits us. I would say majority of people have that. It's the exceptional few that break out of and challenge those limiting beliefs and begin to break out of them. So what can you do about limiting beliefs? Number one, you can consider the consequences of your limiting belief. Consider the consequences. Consider the cost. What is it costing you to have this limiting belief of I am not good enough because? What is it costing you to believe that you're not good enough? Number two is question your limiting beliefs. Don't try and oppose them. Just ask, why do I think this way? Why do I believe this way? What is it about this that I believe? Why is this so entrenched in me? You may have to unravel a little bit, but just why is this so important for me to believe this? It's limiting. Why do I believe this? Choose then a new empowering belief to frame your thinking with. Reframe the belief with a positive belief about yourself. Now, I'm not just talking about positive believing or positive thinking. And there's an element of good to that, but I'm talking about a much deeper seated motivation than that, an inspiration, to find an inspiration where something is a truth. And that's why I always talk about principles. Principles begin to govern those things, and we begin to embrace principles as the truths that they are, real, unchangeable laws that don't alter. And those dictate and can define us clearly. But an example could be, is you might be saying, I'm not good enough because I don't have an education, a college education. But you could reframe that into saying something like, I have 40 years experience, I work hard, and I've got giftings that make me a true asset to my clients. That's now a reframing. You could sit tonight and say, I'm not good enough because ... What will you add in those dots? What will you add in the blank? I'm not good enough because. Maybe it's because I've got too much experience. I'm too young. I'm not enough experience. Whatever it is, because I failed. Because I went bankrupt, because I've got nothing now. Does that make you not good enough? You see, what we're doing is we are identifying ourselves with the limitation at that point in time. So the question is, what can you reframe it with? Not an opposing. Don't try and oppose the thought or the limiting belief. Find another one. And we're going to talk some more about this, I think, in the next few episodes, because I think this is really a powerful area that oftentimes people launching out in business, doing stuff, leading wherever they're leading, they have these limitations that hold them back from accomplishing. And then when they don't accomplish, they blame others for their lack of achievement and their lack of success. Brian Tracy said, you begin to fly when you let go of limiting beliefs about yourself. How true that is. You begin to fly. Would you like to fly a little bit? I mean, I'm challenged to fly a little bit. So how about you? And if you accept a limiting belief, then to you it will become a truth. If you accept a limiting belief, if you embrace it and accept it, obviously it's a belief. It becomes a truth. It's not the truth, it's not reality, but it becomes your reality, it becomes your truth, and it becomes your limitation. Replace that limiting belief with a liberating truth. I'll say that again. Replace that limiting belief with a liberating truth. Reframe that belief. And that's how we got to begin to reframe our whole belief system. Moving us from, because you can be listening to me, and hopefully that's what I'm doing, is chipping away every day a little something to say, to help you shift with the message that I'm bringing to you, to help you shift from that place of saying, being passive, role, positional function, rather than being inspirational, influential, and high impact function, where your role becomes an impact, a transformational impact in people's lives. You don't need to be a super duper high powered, up there celebrity. You can be you. You are designed, your limitations takes away the real reason and the purpose you are here. You are capable because you are on this earth. You're capable because you're wearing this suit. You have a mind, you have eyes, ears, you have feelings, you have senses, you have a deep sense of, you have emotions, you have deep senses, you have a will, you are capable in your specificity. How's that word? All right. I want to encourage you, and hopefully, and that's what I'm saying. Every day I want to chip away something at those limiting beliefs in your life, to say, take away the things that hold you back and begin to release the purposeful, powerful, inspirational leader that you truly, truly have been designed to be, and that the world needs right now. All right. So from Shaun, thank you for being with me. Until next time, it's over and out.